Go, bud.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's your boys at the 1973 podcast. And we're going to answer this week, who owns the Chiefs? But before that, I want to start by saying that we hit our 100th episode. I got a little something in the mail I want to share with the fellas. Came in this nice gold box right here. So I'm going to open it up so you guys can see it. From
I feel like we're all the guys down at the plant.
friends at the YouTube.
No way.
Look at this. 100 episodes. Gonna go right here.
That's crazy.
You guys can ask me how after we get off the air.
Hey, hold on. Can I bring Lucas in real quick?
Yep.
Hey, hold on. I'm gonna mute it.
Yep.
That's crazy, man. That's awesome.
So I'll tell you the story. I was talking to the professor a couple probably about 2 months back, and found something through the analytics on the YouTube and asked him. I needed the stats for people that were involved in. They were asking for 90% of the episodes, and at the time it was just the three of us. So I've been going back and forth with the professor talking about said thing, and now now that it came in the mail, I wanted to share with the fellas, and we'll talk more about it off the air. But yeah. Came in the other day, nice gold box for the people. Very cool, 100th episodes. Congratulations to the 1973 podcast on 100 episodes. So
We got a YouTube award.
That's cool.
So ask me off the air about that, and I'll tell you more about it. So I'm going to put it right there. So we got it every week, and yeah, so pretty psyched about that. So let's get into it. One watch. Everybody knows the rules. Thomas, Ed is on location, so you have the floor, and then we'll get rolling.
Hey there, podcast fans. Are you ready to show off your love for the 1973 podcast? We've got over 20 different designs of t-shirts and hoodies that captures the essence of classic stuff. Whether you're a fan of the shows or just love that retro feel, we've got something for everyone. From bold prints to subtle nods to your favorite personalities, each mode is made with top-notch quality and that timeless style you crave. Perfect for lounging at home or making a statement out and about. And don't wait. Our collection is flying off the shelves faster than you can say, don't be cheap, buy a shirt. Visit us now at bonfire.com and grab your favorites before they're gone.
Bonfire.com, great shirts. Scotty bought a great one last week when he was on. I think he bought it right before we went on the air. So let's get into one watch. Everybody knows the rules. Was my pick. Been dying to do this one. I know Ed was dying to do it. We saved it for episode 101 because I didn't want to ruin episode 100 with talking movies. So we're right back in the format. So Slap Shot. What more can I say about this movie? But let me get into.
I love it, Zaggy.
Let's go. Talk some Slap Shot. Movie's great, timeless. Watched it again this week. Never gets old. Talking with the fellas before we came on about certain things about this movie. Probably my favorite personal sports movie, favorite hockey movie. Great soundtrack. Fleetwood Mac, Elton John in there. Timeless. Great characters. Brad's favorite, very quotable. I was telling these guys, I'm watching it, and in my mind, I can just word for word almost all the way through the whole movie. It started out as a documentary. When they started interviewing players at that level, somebody said to him, you should really think about turning this documentary into a working movie about minor league hockey. And when they threw out looking for actors that could skate, Paul Newman jumped at the chance because he could actually skate. He was a hockey fan. He played hockey, recreationally growing up. And before he passed, he said it was his favorite movie that he did because of the amount of fun that he had. The Hanson brothers were minor league hockey players in the World Hockey League. Paul D'Amato that played Tim Duck McCracken, he was also a minor league hockey player. And I believe Bruce Boudreau, who is an NHL coach, actually is an extra in the movie. So before I take up the whole time and hijack this segment, I'm rating this high. 9.2 for Slap Shot for me. I'm going to kick it to Shaggy.
Put on the foil, boys. Put on the foil right now.
I love it.
Is it another question? I just had a question. Isn't Poodle like a local guy for us in Massachusetts? Wasn't he somewhere from around here, Rhode Island or something like
I
that?
don't know, but that Syracuse Bulldogs team, when they show up at the end and they put that all-star team together to play the Chiefs, I mean, the only gripe I have with this movie is I thought the ending was weak, the way it ended. But other than that,
Yep.
take it away, Shaggy.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. So, like you're saying, Pobo, I can't remember what the name of the song is, but that one song we're on the bus ride. Every time I hear that song on the radio, the only thing I think about is when they're traveling on the bus on the away games and stuff like that.
Get right back where we started from.
Yes. Yep. That one. Every time I hear it, I'm like, the only thing I think of is that scene in the movie. Yeah, one of my favorites also. Like, I mean, back when you get those like security questions on those websites, like, what's your favorite movie? I put Slapshot. That's what I used to do. Like, that's how much I love this movie. Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna go even higher. I gave it like a 9.6. This is my Rogue One.
Damn. Awesome. Rogue One is looking real good right now, Bradford.
I'm questioning y'all's taste in movies right now, bro.
So do we with you.
Jesus.
Come on, Brad. We're going to kick it to you. We're waiting. Hailing from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, Bradford, who's known to do a fashion show every now and then.
I don't know if you guys want to hear what I had to say about it.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, we
do.
I am sitting on the edge of my seat for this.
I feel like I've seen this movie before. It's got a player coach who's past his prime, holding on to it, trying to win his woman back. A bunch of ragtag players who have to pull it all together to win against all odds. A working man's, blue collar city supports the team no matter how bad they are or how good they are, and an owner that's going to sell the team out from underneath them, whether they win or lose. Oh, I have seen this movie. They did it in Major League. Same freaking plot, fellas.
Well, which one was first, Bradford?
Exactly.
Doesn't matter. Major
20
League
years.
did it better.
20 years difference.
Even all the way down to Bob Uecker that just passed away, the announcer from Major League. They even modeled that in Slap Shot. The comedic kind of announcer guy doing his thing.
So what you're saying is it's the blueprint.
I got through 6.5 minutes of this movie. I love Paul Newman films. I love his ranch dressing because I only got 6.5 minutes in, and I feel like I've seen this movie 100 times. The plot has just been regurgitated over and over again. And I think if I was a hockey person, I think I would have loved the movie. I don't even watch hockey on a good day. The fact that I love baseball, can relate to baseball, makes Major League my version of Slapshot. So I could see why y'all love this movie because I love Major League. Lucas has Wild Things haircut right now. So I'm gonna give it a. I want to go low, but I don't want to offend you guys. Solid 7. I'm gonna give it a solid 7. That's not bad. All right. I see why you like it. I'm not gonna bash it just because I don't understand the lore. A solid 7.
Okay, before I kick it to the professor, I want to tell Brad, even if you watch 6 minutes, the first interview in the beginning gives you your entry level into the rules of hockey. So if you've made it through 6 minutes, you should know what slashing is, what high sticking is, what tripping is, what icing is. So it's a start, Bradford.
It's a start. It's a start.
You have, if you've never been with us at a live event, we've been told to sit down during the national anthem. We've been booed at in Montreal. So many events have happened to the boys at hockey games, and we would love to bring Brad to, let's say, Hockey Night in Canada at the Forum and just let him loose amongst those Canadian fans. That would be an epic road trip. Someday we'll get there, Bradford.
Bro, when I go, I've taken Tristan to hockey before, and he explains everything's going on, and then I can get into it. You know what I mean? And if it's a live event, so if I went with y'all, I think I would like it. It's not like I like Slapshot the movie, but I would like a live sporting event.
Thomas, you have the floor.
Well, you guys said a lot of the stuff that I had written down, but it was based on the actual pro team, the Johnstown Jets. The stuff that I didn't realize, like behind the scenes stuff. Al Pacino wanted the role of Reggie Dunlap. He got turned down because he couldn't skate. So feeding off of what you said about not skating, and then there was another scene where the referee comes over to yell at one of the Hanson brothers during the national anthem, and he tells him he's listening to the song. They had to cut that scene short a little bit because the referee didn't know how to skate. So they had to cut it. There was a little bit more to that scene, and they had to cut it because the guy could barely stand up, from what I read. But one other thing was, you were talking about Bruce Boudreau. The Reggie Dunlap's apartment in that movie is actually Bruce Boudreau's real apartment back then. I thought it was really good. I mean, I'm not going to give it a 10 or a 9. I'm not going to go that high because it was entertaining, and I love hockey. But I gave it an 8. And but the one thing I wanted to point out, and I don't know if anyone ever picked this up, and I didn't until I read it, and I went back and looked, and it's correct. But when the scene you're talking about, with Denny Lemieux is talking about the penalties, he screwed them all up. He confused the hooking with slashing, the cross-checking with high sticking, and the butt ending for spearing. But they kept it in because they thought it was funny. And but I thought that was funny. I never realized it when I watched it to begin with. And so I gave it an 8. Our number one fan, Darren, sent me a text, and he gave it a 7.9.
Good man. Good man.
Good score, Darren. Good score.
All right, Phantom, what do you got?
You got if you grew up playing hockey or watching hockey, there's no way you don't love this movie. This is like pretty much like Brad kind of said. This is like our movie that like we grew up with as kids. So you start watching this, and it's funny to watch it now, because if they were to edit the movie now, the movie would probably be half the length, because half the stuff's unacceptable these days. But I think that the best part about the movie is how they captured the interaction between the characters, which gives you that real locker room feel. Like it's not so much like a script that has anything to do with the movie. It's all the guys just talking to each other and cracking jokes and making fun of each other, and that's truly what I think draws everybody into it. Other than that, you guys pretty much hit a home run with everything that you said. My favorite character, Mo. Mo is hilarious for a guy that doesn't really have a huge part. Every time the guy speaks, it's freaking hilarious. Of course, I'm coming in high as well. I'm going 9.1.
No way, dude.
Before I go to Ed, I know Brad didn't make it through the whole movie. That's okay. But there is a scene with the mother from A Christmas Story in that. And to compare and contrast the two characters in that, from The Christmas Story to Slap Shot, it gives you a different perspective the next time you see The Christmas Story. Just saying. Ed, bring us home.
First of all, William, I am very disappointed in you.
I tried, dude.
I am really disappointed in you. I for somebody that calls himself such a movie buff to not be able to sit through it. Like, look, I understand that, it has kind of like that template of like the Replacements and, Major League, but it was the first one. And to kind of like pile on
The Replacements, another movie that's better than Slap Shot.
Whoa.
Ooh, I don't think so. I don't think so there, buddy. I mean, but I mean, it really did kind of capture the spirit of what hockey is. And I think that, calling us, Brad, you're calling us names. You're challenging the Chiefs here. You know what I mean? I mean, and the thing about it is like, and I can understand you not being a huge hockey fan, where it's like, I kind of, but like the thing about it is the character development in here. I agree with and just kind of like the stories of like the like guys just hanging out, having a couple beers and that type of thing. I mean, it really kind of brings that kind of locker room kind of like feel to it. Um, there's not really any movie around that actually gives that feel to it, like Slapshot does. Um, I think probably the only one that's close to it, kind of maybe, if you pull the love story out of it, maybe Bull Durham a little bit, maybe.
Another movie that's better than Slapshot. You're just racking them up now, dude.
Bad News Bears.
Well,
The original.
but I mean, I just think it was a great movie, and there's so many. And is it quotable? Absolutely. Anybody that's ever watched it more than once or twice, there's I mean, Brad, I mean, you missed so many good quotes, and especially with like the soda machine, the guys bringing their cars with them,
No,
all
I
that
saw that
stuff. I
part.
mean,
It took my effing quarter, whatever, right?
yeah, I
Yeah, I
mean,
saw that
So
part.
so quotable, Brad. So
Yeah.
quotable.
Stinking
I
root
mean,
beer.
yeah, and I mean, like, and like everybody kind of, it's just one of those things. It's whenever it's on, you watch it, and like the
Yeah.
thing about it is like it really is just such a quality movie. So I'm gonna wrap it up here. I'm gonna give it a 9.2 to offset the low scores around here. Okay, and so I'm gonna say a little disappointed, Brad, that you didn't watch the whole thing to the point where the ending, yeah, the ending was a little lame, yeah, for sure. Um, but I mean, it was overall really good movie, And Brad, I mean, Bruce Boudreau, I mean, he coached in Mississippi.
Oh,
I
cool.
mean, before he went off to go coach the Capitals and win a Stanley Cup. I mean, come on, Brad. Like
And
seriously, man.
before you pick the movie this week, the thing about that movie in those 70s movies like Bad News Bears, you can't make a movie like that anymore just because of the content of what they're talking about or the verbiage that they use. There's parts with kids that are under 10, they're having a fight and they're swearing up a storm.
Yeah.
There's certain things that Tatum O'Neal says in Bad News Bears and Walter Matthau with he's got kids in the car, he's drinking beers in the car while he's driving with the kids in the back. They don't make movies like that anymore. And I, my feelings on that are definitely pretty vivid with how I feel about the way they used to make movies, the way they make them now. So,
But I also think that part of it too is like think about this. Now Brad is the exception because Brad's a little bit younger. But I mean, like think about this. All of us, our parents were raised by people that survived the Depression and went through World War II. Like and lives were different back in the old 70s. I mean, 10 years makes a big difference. It really does. I mean, because I mean, what is there's a Steely Dan song that says "Take one for the road," right? They're not talking about soda and hey, grab the water before you leave. You know,
Hey,
just
Andy,
saying. So anyway,
one thing I want to say, one other funny thing story I want to say about like behind the scenes stuff was the guy that the Ogie Oglethorpe character was based off of. Goldie Goldthorpe was his name. He wanted to be in the movie, and they wouldn't let him because Paul Newman and his brother went to go watch him play in a minor league game to see, and they were actually going to talk to him after the game about being in the movie. And when they went in towards the locker room, he was throwing it at a teammate. He had a glass beer bottle in his hand, and he went to throw it at a teammate, and it hit Paul Newman's brother. So they were afraid that Paul Newman and him were going to end up scrapping, and he was going to kick the crap out of Paul Newman. So they wouldn't let him be in the movie.
Yeah, and the Ogie Oglethorpe character did have the big afro like he had, but his was a blonde afro. If you've ever seen pictures of him, he looked just like the guy that they cast for the role, except instead of the brown afro, he had a big blonde afro. So,
and
really
he
cool.
actually threatened Bob Costas, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Brad, did you at least get to see Ralphie's mom's boobies?
No.
You missed it.
You missed
I'll
it.
go re-rent it just for that.
Worth it.
Yeah.
Look,
And
Google it. You get the cheat code. TikTok.
So before we wrap up the movie segment, I want to know the score Thomas, what do we have for Slap Shot? So I can
Group-
write this down for my notes.
Great group score 8.5.
That is
Too
very,
high.
very good.
That is fucking criminal.
Anything over an 8 is something you must have in your collection. So I'm glad that it was over 8. So very happy with that score. So Ed, we're in suspense. What is our homework for next week for one watch? Everybody knows the rules.
Well,
It's called one watch, Brad, not half a watch or a quarter of a watch. It's one watch.
you know, I kind of was thinking about it, and and then Brad really hurt my feelings. So I'm gonna torture him one more time, and I'm gonna go with Youngblood.
Yes. Yes.
What is
Another
that movie
great one.
about?
We're not telling you
Another
what
great
it's called,
one.
just watch it.
Is that another
Oh.
hockey movie?
Yes.
Jesus
That-
Christ almighty.
Yeah.
Got your boy Keanu in it, though.
Yeah,
Hey.
Keanu, Patrick Swayze, Rob Lowe.
Whoa, Swayze's in it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna watch that shit then.
And he plays one of the coolest characters in the movie.
Yeah.
And I
It's a
love-
great
Typical
movie, Brad.
Swayze. Gotta be
He-
the cool kid every
he's
time.
out of all the Patrick Swayze movies, other than Point Break, that's probably my favorite character that he plays.
Page-
and-
Paging Dr. Sutton. Paging
Ding,
Dr.
ding.
Sutton.
Yep. So we'll put that
Might
down.
be
Young
quotable.
Blood, Earth, Wind, and Fire, and Little Brother for next week. Very good. 8.5 Young Blood for next week. So let's get into let's try to salvage this, Bradford, with your knowledge of wrestling. We're gonna talk. We haven't talked about it really in a couple of weeks. Let me take off these before my eyes fall out of my head. And let's talk about the TNA WWE news with the merger and the possibilities that could happen. Bradford, you have the floor.
Well, I mean, I guess they're just making it officially official because they've already been doing a lot of NXT TNA crossovers. They've had the Rascals back and forth on NXT. They've had Joe Hendry show up on NXT. They've had various other stars showing up on NXT. Then they have NXT people going back to TNA. All the way back to last year's Royal Rumble. Jordan Grace came out in the women's Royal Rumble. So they've been working on this deal for a while. I think it's great for WWE. I've always said TNA should be more like their developmental option, and then NXT should be more of just another stepping stone because they have so much talent in WWE. They have, they don't know where to put everybody. But I don't know how you guys would feel about that if they kind of made TNA more developmental. But I think it's a great step. It also bails TNA out, who is, I think, kind of struggling, to pay the bills. So great move, man. I hope we see Joe Hendry in the Royal Rumble. I'm holding out. We'll see what happens, man. I think if they don't bring him in the Royal Rumble, it's serious missed opportunity, man. To hear his music cue and the countdown hit 0, it would bring the roof down.
So
I would lose my absolute shit if Joe Hendry showed up in the Royal Rumble.
I
I
don't
know he's
know
not
if-
going to win it, but it would be awesome.
Yeah, I when I text you, I was talking about. I think that the announcement is more for where they've already been doing NXT stuff. I think they're kind of pre-gaming to let you know that there might be some guys showing up on WWE TV, not so much NXT. And
Yeah.
I'm not a big, I've said before, I'm not a big fan of the ladies wrestling, but the possibilities of seeing Tessa Blanchard show up and do something with Charlotte Flair with the Four Horsemen, kind of history there, that would be something to see. They could really do, some kind of dynasty thing or something with that, or maybe they got heat between the two of them. Who knows? It'd be fun to see that. That kind of piques my interest a little bit. The Royal Rumble possibilities are always, fun. I saw a couple of things that were surprises for the Royal Rumble this year. Possible Brock Lesnar, possible Rock.
Spoiler. No.
Right?
Yeah.
Possible.
Those lists are always bullshit, though.
What about Alexander Black going back? Malachi Black. They want
I've
him
heard
back.
that.
Yeah,
I've heard
well,
that. His
yeah,
wife is in WWE though, right?
right,
Yeah.
right. What
Yeah.
a odd mix though, right? Those two
Yeah.
kind of opposites.
I'd like to see what's his name? Matt Cardona, whatever his name, Chelsea Green's husband come back too. I mean, the
Well, what do you,
WWE and this TNA thing is so big because there's so many talented people in WWE and they suck on the they cannot cut a promo, bro. Like, what are you doing with these guys in their developmental stages? Why can't they talk on a mic? TNA they got the athletes, they got the guys that can talk on a mic, plus Dolph Ziggler's now going by Nick Nemeth, right? He's in
yep,
TNA. Is he gonna
yep.
come back to WWE?
Who knows? Who
The
knows?
guy I can't wait to see is and he reminds me, he's like one of the closest that I can think of watching him wrestle to Chris Benoit, Josh Alexander, who was
Oh,
great, like
yes.
pure wrestler. And he's now that he's there, I mean, it could be a good. He was a tag team partner with Ethan Page. They won the belts many, many times. So I don't know if they'd ever want to be a tag team again to start out with, just to get them there, or have them not don't even have to be a tag team, but like a little bit of a group. But that's the guy I'm most excited to see. But it's kind of funny that you've got Matt Cardona there, Nick Nemeth, and you got the Hardy Boys, who I don't know. That's curious to see what they do with them, if they do anything with them.
Yeah.
There was a rumor when the Wyatt Six came out that uh which is the one who's not an alcoholic, Matt Hardy.
Yeah.
Matt Hardy was already rumored to come back and join with the Wyatt Six and do his whatever he called it, his dark Matt Hardy. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I think you're onto something there, Tom. I think that's a huge possibility, man.
Yeah, Royal Rumble is one of those bigger ones. It's one of the four pillars of their year. So, be fun to maybe we can talk Ed into watching some Royal Rumble on Peacock this year. Edward, get you back into it a little bit. What do you think?
I wouldn't hold your breath.
Well, now you sound like Bradwood Slapshot. Don't be that
John
guy.
Cena's last one.
Yep, we're gonna.
You won't see me.
Anthem, want to add anything about the merger?
Yeah, I think it's a good thing. Why you got say you got somebody like AJ Styles that's just kicking around and not doing nothing with. He's famous for being in TNA. You could throw him over there. It works
Please
out great
do.
on TNA's spot because they're just trying to get eyes. So you could pretty much take any WWE guy that, even if it's somebody they're not doing anything with, throw them on the show and you'll get people to watch because they'll just be the curiosity of it. They had JBL showing up a little bit there. He's like retired and he's probably drawing some people over. So I think it's a good idea. I thought the same thing that what Brad was saying. I think that now that NXT is getting so big, they want to make it its own brand and they'll use TNA as a feeder thing, kind of like they did with ECW in the '90s.
It makes sense.
They made it seem like ECW was like really invading WWE, but it was like a backroom deal when all those guys were showing up. And as much as we were into ECW at the time, there was guys showing up that we weren't like, we didn't really know them well. It was like, oh, who's this guy? And next thing you know, a year later they're in WWE. So WWE can see who's hot down there and pillage those guys up. And if TNA doesn't got anybody watching those talents now, it benefits them even if they're losing their better talents because nobody was watching before anyway. So I think it's good for everybody.
It's interesting because they just, if the rumors are true, they're going to have Scott D'Amore come in as the head booker. He actually just got fired like 2 months ago from TNA, so that's going to be an interesting little dynamic there.
I think that Tommy Dreamer is like
the head booker,
and all the stuff that's going on in TNA too. So his connection with WWE probably didn't hurt them moving forward with it.
Yeah, it just goes. We'll talk about Penta's debut and what I think is great about the way that WWE is now is they don't really knock any of the rust off of anybody that they have as far as like where they've been and what they've done. His debut, they mentioned everything that he had done except the AEW stuff. So they don't make him out or make these guys out to be their homegrown talent. they kind of give you a little bit of a backstory to kind of say, hey, listen, this guy's got some clout to him, or some history to him, non WWE related or non AEW related, but they talked about his time in Impact, they talked about his time in TNA, they talked about his time in Lucha Underground, they talked about his time in AAA, and they really make these guys look like stars. And if you notice, that Penta match was very non-Penta, high spot, high spot, high spot. He was in there with somebody that could walk him through a really good match and have a really good match with him. And he debuted in San Jose, so of course that helps him too with the Spanish language barrier. The only thing I would do with him is actually hook him up with, he needs a manager. He's just one of those guys that he needs somebody to kind of be his mouthpiece and kind of look scary in the background. And yeah, we'll see what they do. But it seems like I said it before when guys started showing up, and Jake Cargill, it seems like there's a gate though, that they almost like go to like Cody, and Cody can blackball guys from AEW from coming in or getting the rub. So he seems like, for being an EVP or whatever he was, that he kind of knows who play ball in that WWE system and who won't. And you kind of know the guys that will never come in. But it's nice to see that they are giving some of these guys that were in AEW that you really want to see come back. And I'm sure there's guys in WWE that they could trim the fat with at the bottom and let them go to AEW. And you see what they do with them. They do absolutely nothing with them. And look at it. Look at Edge. Come on.
Look at Ricochet.
I hope they treat him like a regular wrestler and not a luchador, because they just treat the the luchadors usually all end up mid-carders and the LWO. And if you look back at some of the other stuff that Penta did, and I can't think of the actual name of the federation, but it was an indie, and out in the Midwest, out in the Pacific Northwest, he was actually in a team with Fatu, with Jacob Fatu and his brother Ray Phoenix, and I think the Sheik at one time, and they were pretty badass. So I don't know if they'll ever even mention that, but I mean, I think he can do well as a. I'm not saying he should jump right to the top of the card, but I think he could do well if Triple H actually gives him a chance.
Well, that WWE machine is all about merch, and his look sells stuff. I mean, kids fall in love with those masks, and that he's got the skull face under the mask. It's a really good marketing ploy for them. And I never see him really as a world champion, but he's an intercontinental champion style of wrestler, or maybe a tag team wrestler. He'd be great if they can't get Ray Phoenix right away, he could have a nice singles run.
But what's crazy too now is, now that they have to deal with Netflix, I guess they were saying like their viewership in the United States when it bounced from USA to Netflix is like pretty much almost the same in the United States. All the extra is all international, all worldly. So don't be surprised if they start trying to grab all kinds of international stars just to appeal even more to that. Especially with I'm really surprised that they haven't come up with some kind of Middle Eastern star, just because they're always going back and forth over there, and they could make $1 zillion if they could have a big time star come out of like the Middle East or Saudi or something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
But not make them like the Iron Sheik, just make them like a legit star.
There's the passe bad guy from the 80s is kind of will never fly again. The Russian heel, or go ahead, Tom, you were going to say something?
Nope, that was it.
Okay. The only other thing that I want to mention, two other things on the wrestling segment, was the Corey Graves thing popped up out of nowhere, where he was on Twitter bashing everything. My 2 cents is I think it's a work, because they replaced him with Pat McAfee, right? Isn't that who I could see him and Pat McAfee having a match at WrestleMania over who gets the seat. I could really see that happening. My thoughts right off the rip, I thought it was, work to get him back for one night, or maybe he's got something in the tank for one night, him and Pat McAfee. It's not a main event match, but it's something to kind of, build up to WrestleMania for, or give McAfee a match and Corey Graves a chance to get back in the ring at WrestleMania. What do you think, Bradford?
I don't know. It could be at work. I think a lot of these old school, these old heads in the business, man, like they're not feeling the Logan Pauls and the Pat McAfees and these guys that just show up. They show up when it's convenient. They show up to get paid. They dip out. Pat McAfee already called out from Monday Night Raw because he has to go do college football one more time. And I think this industry, with its roots and its history, and their wrestlers are proud, man. Like they're allegiant to each other and to the business. It's die hard to the business through and through. So when part timers come in and try to swindle a spot away, they expect the old school heads to have their backs. And then in this case, Corey Graves kind of got demoted for Pat McAfee. I definitely understand why he's upset. And then they don't even call him back to fill in on Monday. They got Wade Barrett or some shit to come in.
I think that
Yeah, he's
stuff's
pissed.
no different from when you have like a regular job.
Yeah,
You paid your dues, you've been there forever, and somebody
yeah,
comes off the street and gets a job that you want. You know what I mean? It happens all walks of life.
yep.
The other thing I wanted to talk about, speaking of old school, maybe I'll get Ed involved in this. Passing of Rick Harris, Black Bart, from the old wrestling days of Mid Atlantic and Jim Crockett Promotions and World Class Championship Wrestling. I guess he had stage 4 cancer, and when he found out, he said, "Don't even give me the meds. I don't even want it." So,
Damn, that's hard.
yeah, I my first time seeing Black Body was in a tag team when I was a kid with Ron Bass, and they were like a kind of like a mid card like tag team. But when you look at these guys, like Outlaw Ron Bass, guys like that, they were like big dudes. Like you see them, and it's like if they were standing next to like Ricochet or Orange Cassidy, you'd be like, these guys don't have a chance against these guys. Just the look of the make of that 80s, even the mid card guys. It was just a different time, and my memories of him were always pretty good. Just that mid card, mid Atlantic heel that he would fight Ronnie Garvin, he would fight Jimmy Garvin, he would fight Jimmy Valiant, those guys in the middle there. So when I saw him at the end and he did a couple shoot interviews, I'm like, this guy seems like a really cool dude. He's like got a lot of stories. Seems to never have a bad word about anybody, but great stories like with the Midnight Express and traveling with Jim Cornette. And I said, there's somebody that could sit around and backstage and tell stories or teach these younger guys how to be, just a really good worker and a student of the game. And, just when you hear these guys that passed and you have a fond memory of your childhood with them and you forget about them and then they pop back up that they passed, it's just sad to hear it. Ed, thoughts? Do you remember Black Bot?
I do. Not too much. If I remember correctly, he and Ron Bass, they didn't have, they weren't like the typical chiseled physique that you have now. But I mean, but you looked at him and you're like, that's a big dude, man. And like, kind of goes back to like what you talk about. A lot of these guys, like, you wouldn't want to meet this guy at a bar and piss him off because you knew he'd hurt you and he probably wouldn't have like a regular job type of thing. So, I mean, first and foremost, anything that goes on with Jim Cornette and that type of thing is certainly entertaining. He is, in my opinion, Jim Cornette, any like he spouts off great information about guys and that type of thing. And you know, and it's surprising that he didn't get a little bit more of a push because of his allegiance to Jim Cornette, with Jim Crockett Promotions and I'll do that kind of mid-south kind of like wrestling area. So, cancer hits hard for a lot of us here, and stage 4. I mean, that's some big time stuff, and it's a decision. What's your quality of life? Do I want to live for 6 to 12 months and not have to deal with all the side effects of the meds, or do I live another 3 to 4 years and have all the side effects? So it's a personal choice, and then he made his. So always sad to see these guys from our youth pass away. So that's my thought.
Thomas, thoughts on Black Bot from he had a little run in world class.
I was just going to say that's when I first remembered him. I think Skandar Akbar brought him in as a bounty hunter, and he feuded with gentleman Chris Adams and Kevin Von Erich. That's when I remember him the most. But it's a classic thing where he was really good in the ring, had good psychology, and he just sucked on the mic. And back then, that's one thing you had to do is be able to talk, and that's what I think held him back. The thing I didn't realize, but that I didn't really, I won't say I like, but it's a typical WWE move or WWF back. And then when they brought him in, he was a gatekeeper for all these guys. Like he was the first guy that Dustin Rhodes fought. That was Shane Douglas. It was his first ever match. I mean, all he was the gatekeeper for them when they, that's all they saw him as, I guess. But I mean, it's sad. Like Ed said, with cancer, it's sad, especially back then where all those guys, smoke cigarettes, him doing chew. You always see him on the thing. He's always got a thing with him. But I always enjoyed him, but watching him wrestle. But like he was just bad on the mic.
Yeah, if you guys ever do a deep dive, I think he's got 2 shoot interviews out over the last couple of years. They got a hold of him, and he tells some really good stories on there. It's nice to pop on, and if you ever want to sit under the learning tree of some old school wrestling, you can listen to Black Bart on YouTube. Phantom, any thoughts on Black Bart?
It's funny. I watched the shoot interviews with him, and these guys from the 70s and the 80s must see how all these wrestlers now, even the ones that are scrubs, they're all fucking famous. And even if you're a chump, you're probably getting a really good paycheck. Because the thing that stood out to me when the shoot interview was good. The stuff he talked about, some of them not so much, but his was good. It's like it looks like it's in his house. His house is a fucking shithole. Like this guy wrestled for 20 years. It looks like he's got fucking nothing. That's like when you sit back and it's like, wow, this guy made a career out of this, and it's like, dude, you look poor. It's crazy. Yeah, as far as his wrestling goes and all that, definitely like a kind of mid-card guy, like you said. He did his finishing move was pretty cool. Trash compactor, it had a cool name. But he was like, I mean, back then, every territory needed a cowboy, so I think he was one that bounced around a little bit, and he was no Blackjack Mulligan. Let's just say that.
No. And it was sad too, to add to what Tom said, when the territory started drying up in the late 80s into 90s, early 90s. There wasn't too many places left for these guys to work, and he ended up going to WWE, like Tom said, WWF at the time. And there were guys that were there that were enhancement job guys. He was one of them. And one of the other guys that was there at the time that had no place else to go to, believe it or not, because 10 years before that, he was a big draw, was Playboy Buddy Rose. Unbelievable. He was a job guy in like 90, 91. It's crazy just how they don't have anything, really for income, and, no health insurance or any of that stuff. See, Jesse was right. They should have got a union back then. So.
The thing that was crazy too back then is a lot of those guys, pre-internet, we used to learn about all these guys off the wrestling magazines, because we weren't catching them Mid-South. If you had TBS, you were getting NWA or WCW, a little bit of World Class here and there, but you used to get those wrestling magazines. You flipping through those pages, and especially us being up north, WWE wasn't like as much blood as like the NWA. We get those NWA magazines and be looking through those things. Those guys all full of blood. Like, oh shit, what the fuck's this guy? It's so different now. Where it's like there was guys that then they'd show up in WWE with a different name, and you'd be like, what the this?
The Red Rooster.
Vince ruining wrestling even back then.
Yeah, consistently ruining wrestling. That Vince McMahon. And soon, the buzz is a new federation with Vince McMahon backing it. I don't want to see it. I don't really think he should be in the game anymore. I think he should be out and just let the wrestling fans run it. Just Triple H has got a good head for it, and they're going places. So, yeah. So, Thomas, are you ready to move on into the sports realm of this podcast?
Sure. Let's do it.
Tom Shitty Picks, let's go.
Tom Shitty Picks is brought to you by Brock Street Brewing Company, located at 244 Brock Street South in Whitby, Ontario. Everything is brewed in-house, including their hard iced teas, their beers, vodka sodas, and their hard seltzers. So if you're in the Whitby area, go check them out and tell them the 1973 podcast sent you. Before we start anything, I have our predictions from right when the week's not the NFL season. I have everybody's Super Bowl picks from when the season started. There is out of people that have been on the show when started, there's only one person that has both teams still alive, and that's Dennis. He's got KC and he has the Eagles. Everybody else has at least one team out. Chris had both teams eliminated.
I don't know.
I don't even know who I took. I think I took the 49ers.
No, you did not. You took Dallas and the Chiefs.
Oh, that was just jokes, baby.
Brad, you did too. You took Dallas too.
Oh, did I?
Yep. You took Dallas and Ravens.
You guys bet your balls and shook on it.
Yeah, we must have been just giving you some
Brad, hey, we had the right division.
Tom, before we get into any sports talk that you want to talk about, you want to talk about the passing of Bob Uecker, Mr. Baseball?
Yeah, it was pretty sad. This past week, Bob Uecker died. He was 90 years old. He didn't tell anyone. His family just came out the other day and said that he had passed away from cancer. He had lung cancer. But he didn't really want anyone to know, so he kept it quiet. But I most remember him. He got into the Hall of Fame as an announcer, and he was well known. And if you look at his stats were horrible. I mean, he was 200 average, 14 career home runs, but he was just so funny, so damn funny. I mean, Johnny Carson loved him. He had over 100 appearances on Johnny Carson's show, just being a funny bastard. And I most remember him. And the first thing I remember is the Miller Lite commercials. And I must be in the front row. That's the thing I always remember when I think of him. And of course, the Major League movies he was hilarious in. But it's very sad.
Going back to what you're talking about with the Miller Lite commercials, with that crew that was in those Miller Lite commercials. Yep. We will take them as a sponsor. No problem. Hands down. You couldn't even make commercials like that anymore.
No.
Just regular blue collar athletes just having a time. It's just gone by the wayside. It's like talking about silent movies to some people. It's just if you don't remember it, you'll never understand it. And he speaking of Major League, he was all over Major League. Brad, Bob Uecker, come on now.
Yep.
Got anything to add about the Bob Uecker there, Bradford?
No, he was good in Major League. I enjoyed it. It's one of my favorite movies.
Shaggy, Bob Uecker?
No Slap Shot, I'll tell you that.
I was watching one of his Miller Lite commercials earlier, and it had John Goodman in it, actually. That was pretty cool. And by the way, he was great, Mr. Belvedere, too.
Yes.
Damn, Shaq, you brought that one out of left field. I totally forgot all about that.
Goddamn right.
Damn. Damn.
I still love that show.
How about Bob Uecker? Any fun memories?
I like when Andre the Giant choked him.
WrestleMania 3, I believe.
Is he in the WWE Hall of Fame?
He is.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Also,
I was going to say if he wasn't, he is now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, Mr. Hall of Fame, the Phantom, thoughts on Bob Uecker being in the WWE Hall of Fame?
Garbage.
Garbage. Garbage. Garbage.
Wait, it's almost that time. I can't wait for the reveal of who's going in this year.
That's going to be the Gladiator.
Tom, what do you want to talk about sports this week? Your segment.
Well, Ed, I know you want to talk about the KC game yesterday and the poor officiating, so I'm going to hand it off to you on this one.
Ed, we gave you plenty of time to rest, so.
Yeah, you did. I mean, 15 minutes of wrestling talk. I mean, I was about ready to fall asleep here. Jeez Louise. I know Shaggy was about ready to go out, too.
I was zoned out.
Yeah, no kidding. No, I mean, it was just yesterday. I mean, I understand the whole protecting quarterbacks. I totally get it, but yesterday with Mahomes, that was just out of control. Like to throw the flag on, he went down late and he was a runner. And it's pretty bad when the announcers are like saying, like Troy Aikman said, come on, you know. So I think it's at a certain point. But funny story, we all keep watching. We keep saying we're not going to watch, but we keep watching, you know. So I don't know. I just think that I have no problem protecting the quarterbacks in the pocket to use like an example about stuff that's unacceptable, kind of like the stuff that they did to Jim McMahon, the defensive tackle from the Packers, and
Charles
picked him up and
Harris.
slammed him, like that stuff. Okay, but like the stuff of like barely touching them, and you're throwing a 15-yard flag. It's the same thing with pass interference. You guys gotta let these guys play a little bit. You talk about protecting the players, but you add another game. I mean, so there's that. Shaq, what do you think?
I think it's the same thing. Like, I mean, it's like the two different set of rules. Like the whole thing with Goff yesterday, he got hammered. No problem with that one. He got hit to the head. No call. You
Smoked
breathe
right
it.
in the face.
Yeah, you breathe the Mahomes and there's a flag. Like it's crazy. Like it's one thing if you call it for everybody. If you're not gonna, but if it's just for one person, I mean, it's just it's stupid. I don't get it. And the whole like I'm gonna fake going out of bounds and keep running, and then I'm like it's unfair.
Was it stupid when they did it for Tom Brady?
Yeah, it was.
It was.
It was. I'm not a homer. I ain't no Cowboy fan.
Brad's just sad that Troy Aikman is half brain dead from all the
Yeah.
the hits that he didn't need to take.
Troy Aikman was having flashbacks.
Bro, half brain dead. Have you seen Troy Aikman? He is full brain dead.
Yes.
If the CTE didn't get him, the roid rage did.
And yes,
He
I'm a
was
little
ripped.
biased, Brad, against Aikman because he transferred from Oklahoma back when he
Yeah.
was in college.
He is ripped for an old dude. There's no business being that jacked. He is on roids, 100%.
True Hall of Famer.
True Hall of Famer. Absolutely. What a saint. True football player. We love Troy Aikman. Absolutely.
Tom, do you want to stay in the confines of the sports talk?
Hey, Tommy, hold on.
Uh-oh.
I'm coming you off.
Uh-oh.
Let me talk. I got something to say about all these fucking segments. I put a fucking bet in. Texans catching plus 9.5. So I'm watching the game. These fucking calls are pissing me off. The fucking kick is missing like a champ.
Left and right.
Left and right. It's brutal. So about beginning of the fourth quarter, I'm already like, fuck, I'm going to lose this thing. So they offer you the buyout. So I only bet $20, but the buyout's $12. So I'm like, fuck it. Why am I going to lose 20 when I can only lose 8? So I put it in, try to cut my losses, but then I pop back in and I'm like, Houston, they ain't doing shit. I'm like, they're not going to score any more points the rest of this game. So I take the Chiefs getting 10.5, even though they're up 11 with about 9 minutes left in the game. Game starts playing out, goes to the end. Houston starts pushing a little bit. They pull that fucking bullshit at the end with a fucking safety. And I'm the only person on the planet I lost that fucking shit in 2 different directions. Right, horrible.
They even mentioned it on the broadcast about it.
As soon as I seen him running, I'm like, get the hell out of here. Then like, the guy can't just run out of like. Then they still punt anyways. That's bullshit. That shit's fucking rigged as fuck.
I've been saying that, but nobody wants to listen to me.
I just saw TikTok.
People are trying to say it's rigged, like to get one team in, one team out, whatever. No, it's only rigged so they can cover spreads and lose the least amount of money in Vegas. That's all.
Brutal.
They showed the damn kicker on the phone on the sideline before the play. Who's he talking to? He's talking to the bookies. Come on.
Thomas?
That's all I have to say.
Quick hockey note. What do you guys think about Connor McDavid? Going to get suspended or what? for the
Nope.
incident last night.
Nah, maybe a game.
Yeah.
Hey,
That guy had it coming though.
Yeah.
I agree.
What
I
was the
agree.
incident that, if we don't know what's going on?
Tom,
What's that?
Bowman.
What was the incident?
Oh, at the end of the Vancouver, they were playing the Vancouver Canucks, and
Right.
Connor Garland, the whole game was just given. He was holding, he was cross check. So right at the very end of the game, McDavid got pissed and he gave him a nice cross check to the head. Well, was it the head or was it like?
No, it was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah, he got him good.
Right, kind of right here. It wasn't here. It wasn't here. It was like right over here. Tommy Boy style.
Yep.
The I don't know who's going to be in the Super Bowl, but something tells me that the fix is in, not the Packers. No, but I can see KC going and going for 3, right? They're going for a third one.
Yeah.
And they lose. And the bookies make a ton of money off of it. Just saying. It's just my 2 cents. Who knows? We'll see if it happens, right, Thomas?
Yes.
Any more sports talk for this week? Anything you guys want to add?
I don't have anything.
Well, it's time. You know what it's time to do? It's time to, go into the outer limits, the Twilight Zone, the tinfoil hat segment. Get your best Rod Serling on, Thomas.
Yes.
Take us to another dimension.
Brad, Tinfoil Hat Conspiracy of the Week is brought to you by the book Loving Elliot, a fitting tribute to undying love written by our very own Andy Clark. It's available on Amazon.com. Elliot was the oldest special needs Jack Russell Terrier when he passed away at the age of 21. Off to you, Brad.
Man, so much to talk about with these LA Pacific Palisades fires. So again, what makes a conspiracy more valid or reliable than another conspiracy? The coincidences that line up with other conspiracies, man. So the Hawaii Lahaina fires, they pretty much took the same script from that one and just did it in California. Both smart cities, both had issues with cutting budgets and funding to the fire department. Both fired adequate, fully trained and certified and proficient firefighters to go and then rehire DEI firemen, women's, whatever you want to call them, candidates to come and replace them who weren't equipped or trained or properly, vetted or certified. They were just basically DI hires that couldn't do the job. The mayors of both cities have made questionable decisions where they either cut off water or depleted the water stores. Lahaina, they cut the water off. In California, apparently they just drained all the water wells that the fire department used to fight fires. They both had deforestation management issues. The LA Fire Department, rather, sent hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment to freaking Ukraine for some reason. Wildness and just a complete ineptitude across the board on both. So here's the thing. If your city is tagged to be a smart city, in any respect of the word or whatever that means to you, get out of your city. You're going to be burned down or hit with a hurricane. Yeah. So in both fires, blue things, blue cars, blue roofs, blue umbrellas, and blue trash cans magically didn't burn. Crazy. The LA fires, it's even more crazy. Apparently, the power company recently installed a bunch of new lithium battery powered meters on these homes. Almost every home in Pacific Palisades, I'll say like 90 to 90% of those homes that had those lithium powered meters burned to the ground. TikTok, you can find videos of this guy who's like, "Yeah, here's my house. I didn't have the new power meter. My house survived." His backyard, he had like a shed or a guest home or like a barn. He had something in his backyard that had the new meter burned to the ground. He's like, "Here's my neighbor's house. New meter burned to the ground." Not going to find that video anywhere else but on TikTok, by the way. TikTok also had videos of human beings running down alleyways and up on businesses, setting fire to shit. This is why they want TikTok brought down, guys, because it's the Wild West of information, is the best way to put it. There was drone footage of some guy out in the field lighting these fires. Completely planned and premeditated 100%. TikTok, again, you got these conspiracy theorist nerds going deep into the weeds and finding the US has a patent for a direct energy weapon. So direct energy weapon would explain why some of these targets were hit and some weren't, because the laser essentially, the way I understand it, gets programmed to burn certain materials, certain things like cars, literally melted cars all the way down to like fucking pools of metal. All right. Have you guys ever seen a vehicle fire? They don't melt to bare metal. That's
Brad.
physically impossible, right? So
Hey, Brad.
bunch of weird shit going down. The fire pattern matches, like if you look at a map of where the fires are in California, matches where they want to put the new railway. So these fires for these smart cities, it makes sense when you think about it in the long run. Back in the day, these big corporations, these big businesses, the government, whatever you want to call it, they would come in and try to gentrify these old Andy, these old neighborhoods by putting a high-rise condo or some other expensive building up, and that would raise the property taxes around them, force the other people out, and they come in and buy all that up. That takes decades. It takes forever to make that happen. Now they can come in, burn the shit straight to the ground. Government swoops in, eminent domain. They either take the land or they get it for super cheap. So if your city has a lithium mine deposit, or if you are designated a smart city, get out now. And people are all mad at State Farm, right? Because State Farm pulled all the insurance policies 6 months prior. Don't be mad at State Farm. They're in the business of measuring risk. If I'm living somewhere where State Farm's like, we're no longer going to insure you for fire, uh, they're the canary in the coal mine. I'm like, oh, what? You're not doing what?
Time to go.
Boom. I got about 4 to 6 months to move before a wildfire sweeps through. Or if I'm living in the mountains, you got 4 to 6 months before a hurricane wipes you out. So, hey, it's weird shit, man. Stuff, something to think about though.
How about a blue
Wild,
roof?
wild stories coming out of TikTok for these fires, man.
Hey, Brad. The thing about it is about the energy weapon. All you need to do is play Command and Conquer back in 2000, what, 2006 through 2008. Funny story, there was a particle weapon in that game that did exactly that.
Bro, how are
Just
they gonna
saying.
have houses and cars burned down and then palm trees and trees and bushes around the house not even touched? How they like? I don't get it, man. I don't understand the physics of fires either. I saw a picture, a whole railway tracks burned, decimated from the fire. All the trees on the side just green, fine. Like, how does that happen? I don't
Blue
understand
roof.
the physics of fire though. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't jump like that. I don't know.
Have you seen that thing with the blue roof with the laser?
Mhm.
How it doesn't? Yeah, it just that blows, that part of it is what blows my mind.
There's a photo right now circulating the web, and they're trying so hard to discredit it and call it AI, and they're trying so hard to pull it down. It's a classic Volkswagen bus sitting in the middle of the neighborhood. It was broke down, typical Volkswagen. They couldn't get it out. It was blue. Everything around it decimated. Bus is standing strong, and it's blue. AP went and did an interview with the owner, and it's circulated on AP News. So like it's real. It's not AI, but they're trying to pull it down. Guess where I saw that photo first? On TikTok.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Thomas, I got to come to you for point counterpoint on the freaking laser beams.
I totally agree. I do think I've heard a lot about the laser beams, and especially with the Hawaii fire, and I've always thought that's how that fire started. So I have no problems with what Brad said there.
Oh, and they burned down homes of people that are on the Diddy and Epstein list because they don't want to. They gotta burn the evidence.
Phantom,
Crazy.
want to add anything to this spiel?
Oh, he's hitting it on all points. All the stuff that I didn't watch none of this stuff yesterday for some reason. I don't know why I didn't get to watch it yesterday, but I've been seeing a lot of videos on it. Seeing a little bit today. Crazy, crazy,
Why?
crazy.
Nobody saw it.
just keep connecting the dots. Like, what's going on?
Shaggy?
I say, yeah, I saw the one about them talking about how all these people who were in the Diddy, like, oh, they got burned the evidence and all that. Like, he's hitting everything. Like, he's covering it all. Like, yeah, it's crazy.
Ooh, Andy, you're gonna love this. I saw another TikTok talking about they had to burn the shit down because they had to hide the tunnels that run through the Pacific Palisades that were connected to the Playboy Mansion, which there's a lot of rumors of like human trafficking and shit like that going from that mansion to all these millionaires' homes.
Jesus.
So they had to burn it all down to get rid of it.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that we could talk about on this segment with the tinfoil hat. It's just crazy. It's a rabbit hole within a podcast. Let's just say there's one thing to another, next thing you know, it's like talking about certain movies. It takes up a big chunk of, the segment or the show. And like Ed was saying, that the wrestling's going long, you're just getting a little tired. But with the tinfoil hat, I don't get tired with the tinfoil hat. I don't get tired with the wrestling, like, allegedly. But I wonder why nobody was getting any information yesterday, Bradford. Any reason why there was no information on the web yesterday? Is it
Is
because
that when TikTok got banned?
Yeah.
And then they brought it back. I don't know.
Now, that came and went really quick. All that smoke and mirrors and delete this app and all that other stuff.
Oh yeah.
Is there a
The
conspiracy
thing
theory?
that's funny about that is you got all of us that like getting at whether it's weird news, weird stuff, whatever you're into. But the people that are most pissed are all these teenage girls that have had videos of them and their friends singing and dancing saved on that shit. And then all of a sudden they went on yesterday and they pretty much lost their whole photo album of stuff that they've done with their friends since they were like 7 years old.
Now, do you think that the metaphor that you use with the younger generation losing all their photos and their videos, do you think that pertains to these people that have sensitive information that were on there too, allegedly? Where all their stuff is gone too now?
Never know.
It's kind of like a clean sweep before tomorrow, which would be the 20th. Any conspiracy to that, Bradford?
You're telling me our government in one push of a button can shut down the most popular social media app ever made. It shut it down for America, but it's still available outside of America. They could shut it down, but they can't shut down child porn sites. They don't have the feasibility and the resources to do that. Our elected officials have spent the entire year of 2024 up till this point in 2025 arguing and lobbying to get TikTok shut down. We our taxpayer money paid them to do that, and it got shut down for 12 hours or however long. Like, that's a waste of fucking money, bro. That's a waste of labor. But I've been hearing a lot about just January 20th. So we got the planetary alignment coming up. That's a big one. We got Trump apparently has moved the inauguration. It's not going to be in its usual spot. It's like invited guests only. It's going to be like hush hush, shut down. Trump's rally, he held a rally today, which was weird. Like, they don't usually do that, but he promised, I can't get my words out, to release a JFK Martin Luther King evidence, like all the stories. He's like, the American people deserve to know. I promise within days of my inauguration, I'm gonna release all of it. So I'm like, holy shit. If you live that long, let's see what happens.
That's why he doesn't want to have the big party outside, because they tried to clip him twice already.
Yeah.
So if he's planning on releasing this shit, I don't know. I'm here for it. Let's see how far he gets.
Yeah. So if he's got a laundry list of stuff that he wants to do, let's say, I'll use it in layman's terms, stuff he wants to accomplish, what do you think the very first thing that is a bomb dropper that he does? What do you think, Brad?
He said he was going to explain the drones. The drones and orbs have been seen in literally like all 50 states. Again, you can find us out on TikTok. So he said he was gonna. He's like, I don't know why they're not telling you. I'm like, well, hold up. You sound like you already know. He's like, but I'm not allowed to talk about it, right? That's what he told the reporters. So I'm like,
Yeah, I saw it. He's
come
he's
on,
coming.
what is it?
He's coming from a civilian perspective. He's not
Yeah.
in the seat to say anything. So,
So that's what I want to know. What are the drones? Are they aliens? Is that a
Ed, what do you
mothership from
think?
China?
What do you think that the first big thing that he does?
I have no idea what he's gonna do. I just hope that he actually survives. I mean, they tried to
Yeah.
kill him twice. They tried to kill him twice. You know what I mean? Like, no matter how you feel about it, he is still a living human being. And they tried to kill him, and people clapped about it. That's pretty sad. That's my, you know.
And a WWE Hall of Famer.
And a
Well, there's that
WWE
too.
Hall of Famer. Protect this man. And he's in Home Alone too. He's a star of Home Alone too.
Thomas, we're gonna add the tinfoil hat this week with yourself. What do you?
No
I
hat,
want.
though.
Oh,
No
No hat.
hat.
no hat.
Tom's been watching the football game. That's what he's been doing.
What do
Yep.
you think? What do you think the big Trump thing is that he's going to do first?
I think it was last night. It's his hero complex. He's a hero to all the teenagers now because he brought back TikTok and just read his tweets. He tells you he did it. So I mean that's his big thing right there. Everything else is just he's a typical politician, and you'll see what he can follow through with, which isn't much because it's the way the system is.
The thing that was funny is when you read the little note on TikTok when you went on today, it like said his name. It said like that he brought it
Yeah.
back.
Yeah.
Hilarious, right?
That's
The,
hilarious.
the comedy writes itself even at that level, and I think
Yeah.
it's just the more things you see, the more robust the tinfoil hat segment gets, right, Bradford?
Yeah. 2024 was wild. 2025 is off to a great start.
So you
Yeah.
want to wrap up the tinfoil hat, and we'll save some stuff for next week. What do you think, Brad?
Oh yeah.
All right.
I'm sure we'll
So,
have more to talk about.
oh yeah. Well, it should be a pretty eventful week. What do you think?
Oh yeah.
Shout outs, Shaggy. What do you got this week?
Yeah, this week I got nothing. Just thanks for having us on, guys. Good seeing you guys.
Yeah, that's the way we spend an hour a weekend, right?
Yeah.
So shout out this week from me. I want to before the inauguration tomorrow. I had mentioned it was almost like a Tom Shitty pick thing. I had mentioned in somewhere in November on one of the episodes that there was a cryptocurrency that I wanted everybody to look into. I'm big on that stuff, on and off, dabbling with the day trade and every now and then. XRP, this is the call sign. I bought that thing probably at, I want to say about 59 cents a coin. If you're watching this now, buy it if you can. It's $3 right now. Before the end of this upcoming year, the end of 2025, it's projected to be $10,000 a coin. So if you can buy right now, I'm telling the guys on the pod, you can buy a couple at $3. Hold on to them. Just watch the ride over this year. That's my advice. That's my shout out. I mentioned it when it was really cheap. It's gone from 59 cents a coin to $3 a coin in a month, a little over a month. So just do the math, buy yourself some XRP, and we'll talk this time next year. Edward, what do you got this week?
Just good to see you boys. Always fun to talk, and I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut out now because I'm gonna go watch the last 4 minutes of the game.
Stop being a bitch, Ed.
Peace out, honkies. I gotta go. Later.
Thomas, what do you got this week?
Quick shout out to my family. We had a family party today for one of my aunts. It was their birthday, so I just want to say happy birthday, Cindy. And it was good seeing everyone.
Phantom?
Well, I was gonna shout out Troy Aikman for the calling out of Patrick Mahomes being a pussy. but I'm gonna go another way after Andy brought up the XRP thing. Dave Portnoy yesterday put 500K on Trump's Bitcoin, which in less than 24 hours matured to $1 million. He sold it all, took that $1 million and bet it on the Buffalo Bills to win the Super Bowl, which would turn that $1 million into $5 million. And at the time, I was like, they're not getting past Baltimore. Well, as we're sitting here right now, it looks like they might get past Baltimore. So I'm shouting out El Presidente. Guys turning money into money.
Yeah, that probably screwed everyone else over that invested though. When a whale pulls out like that,
Yeah.
But did he give people warning so everyone else could bounce too, or was he just did it?
This is a businessman, son. This is a businessman.
That's fucked up.
Bradford, XRP, and a shout out.
I just bought some XRP as you were talking. Went ahead and did it. I remember you talking about it in November, and I meant to do it then, and I forgot. So I went ahead and did it.
You lost money already, Brad.
It's only $3 a
Yeah.
share.
Oh, yeah.
I could put like $100 on it. So anyway, I want to shout out the people of North Carolina. We haven't forgot about you. TikTok is sharing your story. I watched a lot of stories about North Carolina people affected by that hurricane who are living in like shelters, busted out trailers, living in tents. FEMA bounced, the government bounced. They got their check for $750 and everybody rolled out. The news ain't talking about it. They're still pulling dead bodies out of the river for crying out loud. It is a complete wasteland. It is sad what we did to the cities and the areas that were hit by that hurricane. They're getting no assistance whatsoever. It's wintertime. People are freezing. They're dying. It is atrocious the way we've treated the people of North Carolina. Government needs to do something. If this gets anywhere, I hope Donald Trump, Joe Rogan, JD Vance, all the other big podcasters, if anybody stumbles on this and you hear this, we got to start pushing this. Those people in North Carolina need help now more than ever. And we've already jumped the news cycle. We're already on, we're already on the California fires. People don't give a shit about North Carolina anymore, but they're still out there. They're still suffering. We got to keep them in your prayers. Just keep thinking about them and pushing that narrative. So
Great shout out, Brad.
I know
Great
that was
shout
heavy.
out. Yeah,
Fucking pissed about it.
Shaggy should feel bad after that one.
He should.
I feel like dog shit.
If you guys get rich off XRP, what's the production of this thing going to start looking like?
You're going to be replaced with hot females. Just saying.
The views just went up from 10 to 100.
If I get rich off XRP, I'm gonna hire a stand-in so I don't have to. I just won't even show up anymore. There's gonna be a guy playing me.
It's gonna be AI.
Is it gonna be Gator?
I'm gonna hire Gator to come act for me. He's gonna fill in.
just to do the reviews on hockey.
All right, so that's episode 101, and watch that XRP over the next year. That's my thing.